It's time for another episode of Who's Shirtless This Time? Hello, troopers, and welcome back to General Economics Bunker. Thank you so much for joining me here on another review of Acolyte. Today we're going to be talking about episode 6, Teach, Corrupt. Before we jump into that, I'd just like to remind you to go ahead and check out our channel here on YouTube, General Economics Bunker, where we do a lot of toy hunting, toy reviews, collectible reviews. Obviously, we talk about the newest shows on Disney Plus, and we also do interviews and lore videos. So make sure that you check us out also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, General Economics Bunker. Thank you so much. So we pick up immediately after the previous episode. I was actually hoping for a flashback on this episode, but I guess not yet. So Osha wakes up in the stranger's cave, really, where he's been living, you can tell. There's food, there's medicine, his gear, stuff like that. And she's actually been healed. She's also by herself, so she starts to wander off. I want to shout out this new little critters called Skura. And they might be the best thing about the episode. Spoilers. Back on Kofar, Master Soul is trying to contact the Jedi. And he gets like a spotty connection, and all he manages to get through is that his entire team has been wiped out. So May, posing as Osha, is on the ship, and she seems like she's about to attack. And he reaches out and tells her, "Hey, could you, take a look at the transmitter because we're having problems." She's like, "Oh, sure." And so she goes off into the ship. Then we get what we all wanted to see: Kamir stripping down. He reveals, a large scar on his back. Osha catches up to him. He's like, "Hey, who gave you that scar, right?" And he's like, "Well, I, like you, was also discarded by the Jedi." So Kamir and Osha, they have a little chit chat. He talks to her like he's very intimate with leaving the Jedi Order, just like she did. And he poses the question that she was discarded, to which of course she counters, "No, I left on my own." And he's like, "Really? Did you really though?" Osha asks if he killed Soul, and he's like, "Nope." And then she asks, "Did you kill May?" And he's like, "No, but it's interesting that you asked about Soul first." He's like, I see there's more there, there's a special relationship between master and pupil. So I don't know if he meant like, or he was implying like something like romantic. I'm not too sure. Of course, he speaks in dualities, but yeah, I thought that line was kind of interesting. Back in Coruscant, we see Master Vernestra taking a call, right? Or a holo call. And she's actually discussing politics with what seems to be a senator. And, he's basically informing her of some stuff that might happen with the order, something about an external review. But I think, the scene is meant to show us that Vernestra is highly political, right? Which I think we kind of knew, but we actually get to see it. So in comes a Jedi to tell her about Master Soul's, cut off transmission. He says, we don't even know where they are, but he said they were Jedi casualties. To which Vernestra is like, "All right, assemble a rescue team and send him to Kafar." He's like, "How do you know he's in Kafar?" And she goes, "Because I sent him there." Back in the unknown planet, Kamir, kind of toying, with Osha, because he's like, "All right, well, there's the ship, you should start swimming if you want to get there before nightfall, or you can just wait, till the tide comes down." He's like, "Are you hungry?" And so she obviously is contemplating the idea of just kind of leaving. But at the same time, I think she's too intrigued by what Kamir has to say. Back on the Jedi ship, Basil takes it upon himself to attack, the fake Osha. And I think it's supposed to be a funny scene, but I don't know. It felt kind of flat to me. He has zero combat skills. She wasn't even trying, obviously. And so it's more of he tries to distract her, while Pip, whom Basil actually rescued from the planet, basically is playing shenanigans with her and throws oil at her and stuff like that. She grabs Pip and factory resets him, and she literally says, "How would you like a factory reset?" And then she goes ahead and holds two buttons, very much like a phone nowadays. And yeah, she factory resets him, and he's like, "All right," so it seems like he doesn't have a personality anymore. Kamir and Osha basically keep going back and forth. She's of course accusing him of killing Jedi. He kind of justifies that it was to protect his own existence. She's like, "You killed Yord." He's like, "Well, he didn't hesitate to turn you in when for a crime he knew you didn't commit." And so there's this back and forth, of course. He starts talking about the dark side as, as to there's an untapped, potential there when you give into your feelings. So he keeps taunting her, um, telling her to basically, destroy him, right? To ignite the lightsaber and end his life. And she's like, no, that's not the Jedi way. Which, he counters like, why do you even still think that you're a Jedi? They didn't want you, they discarded you. And she's like, no, I left. And he's like, are you sure about that? His taunting gets to a point where he's like, why aren't you a Jedi then? He's like, she's like, because I failed. And she snaps, ignites the saber, and takes it to his throat, basically. He tells her that when you lost everything, that's when you're finally free. And I think that kind of clicks, with her. So she backs off and retracts the lightsaber. Back on the Jedi ship, May and Master Soul are kind of having like a little bit of a moment, right? She says that she felt that the Jedi made her hide who she really was. So it's like, I'm sorry, you're so young, and I'm sorry that you feel that way. They go back and forth, right? And he basically says, you were so young, and I couldn't tell you everything that happened. She's like, well, I'm not young anymore, so I think we need to talk. And it seems like he's about to say it when the ship comes back online. So that kind of breaks away the moment. So May goes for the transmitter and is basically trying to make contact. I think basically to sort of turn Soul in. As she starts, opening a transmission channel, Soul actually stuns her. Then a communication from the Jedi comes and saying, Master Soul, a rescue team is on the way. Keep your transmission on so we can track you. And he actually turns off the transmitter. He then goes into hyperspace. As soon as they leave, the Master Vernestra's team arrives in Kafar airspace. Back in Kamir's cave, Osha's inquiring, about the stranger, Cortosis, because he's actually repairing his helmet from the previous episode. So there it is, first official mention of Cortosis in live action. That might be the best thing about this episode. But anyway, he basically is talking about somebody who discarded him and who gave him that scar in his back. And Osha, of course, is like, oh, you're Jedi Master. He also says that he wears that mask as a sensory deprivation, so that he can be completely attuned and in sync with the Force while in combat. So he's like, yeah, it's kind of like the one, we used to use as Padawans. So obviously, he had Jedi training, and it seems something went wrong. And he goes like, oh, you should try it on. You might be surprised, like how clarifying, using it can be. So Master Vernestra and her Jedi team catch up to the battle scene, where basically everybody's bodies are laying down. You have Yord, you have Jackie, the rest of the Jedi. Master Vernestra, of course, is analyzing everything. She gets attacked by one of the moths, and that's when we see that scene with the light whip or lightsaber whip. So she takes out a moth that was, attacking her. She asks the other Jedi, what do you see here? And he's like, well, these wounds are made by a lightsaber. It was somebody powerful. His skills are kind of erratic, and his aim was to leave no survivors. So he poses the question is like, who could do this? Who could be so powerful to take down so many Jedi? Is Master Soul, fallen? Did he take out his own team? And of course, Vernestra is like, oh, that's a very tough accusation. So she kind of dismisses it as saying, hey, we need to get back to the ship because we need to prepare all these bodies for burial. May wakes up to being restrained by Soul. And Soul, standing beside her, says, we got a lot of work to do because we got to find your master. We got to save Osha. But first, you and I are going to talk. I've been thinking about this for about 16 years. What I would say to you if I had the opportunity. Then we cut to Osha starting to wear the stranger's helmet. The last shot we get is sort of the inside of the helmet, where you just got, the slightest amount of light shining through the visor, and then it all fades to black, right? And you just hear heavy breathing from Osha. And that kind of ends the episode. Well, this episode explained a lot about what they mean, being seduced by the dark side, I guess. Okay, so episode 6, we're coming off of arguably the best episode so far. Which is episode 5, right? A lot of action, a lot of violence. It was a fun episode. This episode definitely slower pace. Like I said, I kind of hoped for a flashback episode. I think we're still gonna get some of it next episode. We only got 2 more episodes left, by the way, in the season. Contributed, a little bit to clearing up. So the stranger is a former Jedi, best we can tell. He doesn't, he talks about being a youngling. He talks about being discarded by his Jedi Master. He doesn't say it explicitly, but I think, he doesn't correct Osha when she says it either. It seems that he's trying to recruit Osha now, I guess since May turned on him. Soul, basically all the episode keeps saying, I gotta do right. I gotta tell everybody what happened. I gotta tell the High Jedi Council. I'm gonna tell you, May, or I'm gonna tell you, Osha, first, and then I'm gonna tell you, May. But he doesn't say anything, right? So the whole episode goes by and nothing gets really said. It's just implied he has to say something, which I think we already knew. So I don't know, kind of a waste of time in my opinion there. Definitely no action. We see the one cool scene with Master Vernestra, and turns out that the whip, she uses is against one of those poor mods, which they gotta be like at like borderline extinct now. Like those poor things getting destroyed, every episode. Anyway, I wouldn't really say like anything story wise was furthered. We knew Vernestra is kind of political. She just spelled it out right, and I think she's gonna try to cover up what happened to the Jedi. But I think that's been sort of the consensus, right? That everybody's thinking about. May didn't really do anything. Soul didn't really do anything. Osha, she might be falling for Kamir at this point. I don't know what's going on. That whole, him being shirtless. Actually, I take that back. Because technically, I think in the episode, he's like without clothes at all, which I find to be just completely unnecessary. That's not what I want in Star Wars. But I think we've said enough for this episode. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Did you think this was a good one? I kind of feel that if we would have started around like episode 4, if episode 4 would have been like episode 1 and forward, I think we would be in a better shape for this show. But we only got 2 more episodes left in this season. Do you guys think it's actually going to pull through and going to, deliver, stick the landing? I think we still got a flashback somewhere in there that's got to happen. And I think, or I hope I should say, that Soul is going to reveal whatever he's been hiding, whatever he's literally saying to everybody that he's been hiding, but he doesn't say the actual thing. So I think that's what, awaits us for the season finale. Also, I would greatly appreciate it if you leave us your like on this video. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you so much if you already have. Make sure to share the content with people you think would enjoy it. I appreciate you joining me for this review. Yeah, 2 more episodes. And I don't know, you guys think we're going to get a second season? I'm kind of doubtful at this point. But yeah, again, please let me know what you think. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you on the next one.